So the next section of the syllabus that we're looking at is an explain section. So we've just looked at a whole bunch of things you need to be able to describe. And now we're on to being able to explain. So I recommend if you struggle with your analytical verbs, which is what these words are, you can go to the QCEE website, and there are some good resources there that will give you some guidance on what each of the analytical verbs is, and it'll help you to figure out when you're looking at this, what does explain actually mean, what should be going through your head, and that'll help you prepare as well, using the syllabus as a guide. So explain the steps in the complete accounting process. We'll have a look at what that is, and then we'll have a look at an example explanation, and then the relationship between a few different things. So as I mentioned, balance day adjustments and reversing entries we'll have a look at, then also net profit based on accrual accounting, and net cash from operating activities. Okay, so these are the steps in the complete accounting process. So you can see off on the far left there, we've got the start section. And so you're starting off with your transactions, and then you've got your source documents. So we'll go through what all of these things mean in more detail in a second. Then you've got your journal and your bank reconciliation, your ledger and trial balance, balance day adjustments, and then at the end of the accounting period, you've got your reports, so your fully classified statement of profit or loss, financial position, and cash flows. You've got your closing entries, so that's our profit or loss summary account I mentioned. And in the new accounting year, at the end finish section there, you've got those reversing entries on the first day of that new accounting period. So let's have a look at each of these in more detail. So the first step is to identify any transactions that need to be posted to the general journal. And you use any source documents you have as evidence. So source documents are any kind of documented evidence. So you can have receipts and things like that. Invoices and things like that are going to be proof of purchase or sale. Then you post the transactions you've identified chronologically to the general journal. So that just means in the order that they occurred. If you've got a transaction on the 1st of June, the 15th of June, and the 20th of June, that's the order that you would do it in, because you're going from the first one to the last one. You then complete a bank reconciliation, and this is about making sure that the business's records are consistent with the bank's records and vice versa. Bank reconciliation would have been something that you may have just finished, or you may be about to do in accounting in relation to your cash management project. That's part of year 12 as well. Step 4 is posting the general journal entries to your ledger. And then you're preparing a trial balance. And the trial balance is really handy because it makes sure that your ledger is accurate. And you will be able to see based on the trial balance whether you've got any inconsistency between the debit and credit columns. And that will tell you that you need to go back to look at either your general journal or your ledger to see what you went wrong with. Step 5 is performing your balance day adjustments on the necessary accounts. And step 7, we're now nearly at the end here. You've got all of your fully classified statements. Then you've got your closing entries, and this is about closing off to the profit or loss summary, and then your reversing entries at the finish there. So you do need to be able to explain this process. Of course, you do need to be able to do the steps in the process as part of the more practical sections of your exam. but being able to explain things is also important. So here you can see that we've got a more detailed explanation of those things that we just went through. So you can do this in a number of different ways. This is a pretty simple one. In the first step of the complete accounting process, businesses must use source documents to identify the transactions to be posted to the General Journal, because source documents provide indisputable evidence that a financial transaction occurred. So you can see here already that we're adding a little bit more than just saying what's happening. So instead of just saying the first step is to complete the transactions in the General Journal, we are providing more information than that. We're mentioning source documents. We're mentioning why source documents are used. And then in the next sentence, we mention some examples of source documents: bills, statements, invoices, receipts, and checks. Transactions are then posted chronologically to the General Journal, and a bank reconciliation is completed to ensure that the business's cash records and the bank's records are consistent. After this, General Journal entries are posted to the ledger, which lists all of the organization's accounts. A trial balance is then prepared, which examines the arithmetical accuracy of the ledger and enables the business to identify mistakes. Balance day adjustments are performed on the necessary accounts, ensuring they accurately reflect the position of the business. Then the business will generate its statements, and you've got some explanation of what the different statements are doing here. So the profit or loss and the financial position are allowing you to gauge how the business has been performing financially. The statement of cash flow illustrates the cash flows from operating, investing, and financing. So you're giving a little bit more information there by showing your understanding of what that statement involves and what value it provides. Closing entries then occur to assist to determine if the business made a profit or loss and to prepare for the next accounting period. And you've got a bit of an explanation about this involving the profit or loss summary account. And in the final step, reversing entries occur to remove accrual adjusting entries that were made at the end of the previous accounting period. So being able to explain things in a little bit more depth than just the sort of dot point steps is handy. So I recommend trying to get your head around what sort of other things that you can provide when you're explaining these concepts. It's really important to be able to do it, but make sure you're practicing your explanations too.